Ali rushed from the Muslim ranks, attacked the Meccan, and killed him with a single slash of his sword.
Bruh, these men are beasts. Alright. Battle of Uhud.
After the Prophet Muhammad's victory over the Qurashi Meccans at the Battle of Badr, the Meccan leadership had been decimated.
The continuation of Prophet Muhammad.
And the loss of many tribal leaders. The disastrous news came as a shock to Abu Sufyan, but the old chiefs were soon replaced by their inexperienced sons, leaving Sufyan the only Quraysh leader of notable stature to direct civil and military affairs within the city. The older leadership had been reluctant to use force against Muhammad, but with the devastating Meccan defeat at Badr, the mood in Mecca changed drastically. Many Meccans believed Muhammad could only be dealt with by force, and within a month after Badr, a Meccan raiding party had been assembled of around 150 to 200 men under Abu Sufyan's personal command to undertake a raid against Medina.
Wow.
The Meccans now regarded Muhammad as their arch-enemy.
Interesting intro.
In April 624, Abu Sufyan's raiders approached Medina. Following traditional Arab tactics, they made ready to attack in the early morning, switching from camels to horses. Details on the raid are scarce, but it seems that it turned into a minor skirmish, with only a few workers caught tending the fields, and 2 houses burned before the Meccan raiders withdrew. After some time, Muhammad gathered a response force and chased after the raiders. The entire affair is known derisively by Muslim chronicles as the Porridge Raid, since during their escape from Muhammad, the Meccans jettisoned some of their baggage, including several sacks of dried barley used for making porridge. Muhammad soon broke off his pursuit, having given chase mostly to save face and not to engage the Meccans.
Okay.
The following month, Muhammad sought to capitalize off his victory at Badr by assembling a force of up to 450 men and leading raids against 2 Bedouin tribes, the Ghatafan and the Beni Sulaim.
Bro, this is such an really interesting way how Islam got started, bruh, compared to freaking Christianity. Although, when I was curious about Islam, and I was one night I was actually reading up on this. I think I said this in my Abbasid, but I didn't really go into details on this. And most people who watch me now, didn't watch me back then. So I'm just gonna say here, when I was reading up on Islam and from like other people's like perspective, just seeing like how other people view Islam and like when did Islam technically start, someone I forgot where I know I read it online, somewhere online. It was like a discussion forum or something. Someone said that Islam didn't really have a start date. Islam, again, I'm not Islamic, correct me if there's inaccuracies, but they said that Islam, the thing with Islam is they think that their way is the right way and purest way. They didn't have a start date. It's so weird to explain, but it's like you have the Abrahamic religions, right, who believe in one God. Islam, Muhammad basically just pulled up and said, hey guys, yeah, all of that stuff that you believe in is inaccurate, incorrect. This is how you actually believe in God. Yeah, that's basically what I got from what I read on that. So that's why they said that Islam didn't really have a start date. It was technically always again, if it's inaccurate, again, this is why I let people comment to correct, because again, I'm not an expert on this topic. Okay, I'm not an expert on many things. Okay, this is why I like learning about this stuff, and it's fun to talk about this type of stuff. So it's very interesting. Very, very, very intriguing. Let's unpause and see more of this.
While no large-scale fighting took place, Muhammad's strategy became clear. His aim was to strangle and isolate Mecca economically and politically by depriving it of its much-needed Bedouin allies for safe caravan passage. In late January 625, an army of 3,000 men and 200 horses, made up of the Quraysh, an assembly of Bedouin client tribes, and some Abyssinian mercenaries, marched out of Mecca toward Medina, determined to bring the war to Muhammad's doorstep. They took 12 days to reach the outskirts of Medina, with their route of march taking them west of the city, and then north, where they camped at a place known as the Two Springs on an open plain at the foot of a rocky outcropping called Mount Uhud. Terrain had made a direct approach to Medina from the south impossible, since the city is situated on a lava plain about 10 miles wide and 10 miles long, surrounded on 3 sides by steep mountains. Medina could only be approached from the north over open ground, free of obstacles. The Meccan army went into camp just north of the foot of Mount Uhud, but their arrival was no secret, and Muhammad immediately dispatched Muslim scouts to maintain watch over the enemy army. He called for a general mobilization to meet the threat, and about 1,000 men were mustered for duty. Muhammad knew he was greatly outnumbered. Additionally, giving battle on an open plain would relinquish the advantage to the Meccans. Worse, the Muslims had no cavalry, while the Meccans had 200 horsemen under the command of Khalid ibn al-Walid and Ikramah ibn Abu Jahl, later to become 2 of the most famous Muslim generals in the early Islamic conquests. Muhammad assembled a war council to seek advice. As always, the Prophet was disposed to the defense and wanted to draw the enemy army into Medina itself in urban house-to-house fighting. In this argument, he was supported by Abdullah ibn Ubay, the chief of the Khazraj and an experienced warrior, who was also in favor of fighting it out in the streets. Their argument was sound. The palm groves, springs, walled gardens, and the fortified compounds with their towers made it difficult for the Meccans to bring their superior numbers to bear on the Muslims.
Bruh! I want to make a joke so bad. Oh, dude. I don't know if I should say that. I don't know if I should say that. I don't know. No, I'm not going to say that joke. No, no.
Cohesion, making them vulnerable to ambush and piecemeal engagements by the Muslims.
Oh my, bro.
Defeating them in detail.
Dog,
The Meccans also had no siege weaponry, so if the Muslims withdrew into their compounds and refused to give battle, the Meccan army, lacking any supply trains, would be forced to abandon their position after the crops in their field were all used up. However, a large crowd had gathered, some wanting to fight in the city, while many wanted to fight in the open. Muhammad finally decided on a pitched battle.
Bro, what?
He donned his armor and retrieved his weapons, and ordered the men to muster near the cul-de-sac at the foot of Mount Uhud.
That is not...
However,
why would you give up?
Strongly opposed Muhammad.
Bro, what? Okay.
His decision to offer battle in the open plain,
I don't like this.
Engaging in urban combat in the streets of Medina.
That is very, very not smart.
Contingent of Khazraj tribesmen, about 300 men, a third of Muhammad's army, and rode back to Medina.
Bro,
the rest of the host pressed on to Mount Uhud.
Bro,
Upon the
what is he
Meccans,
cooking?
Muhammad ordered a skirmish line to be thrown out across the northern approaches, and nightly patrols conducted to warn of enemy activity. Muhammad then surrounded himself with a bodyguard of 50 chosen men. With the withdrawal of Ibn Ubay's troops, Muhammad had only 700 troops on hand to combat the Meccans. Of these, only 100 were equipped in mail armor. Across the pending battlefield, the Meccan cavalry had deployed in a somewhat unorthodox manner. One troop contingent under the command of Ikrimah ibn Abu Jahl was deployed forward of the main Meccan infantry line and was likely intended to skirmish with the Muslim front line using their lances from horseback. The more serious threat to Muhammad's position was the second cavalry troop, probably larger, commanded by Khalid ibn al-Walid and deployed far to the right of the Meccan infantry line. His mission was to turn Muhammad's flank. The terrain to Muhammad's left was broken by palm groves and walled gardens, but this was insufficient to prevent a movement in formation by al-Walid's cavalry. To prevent the Meccan horsemen from turning his flank, Muhammad posted 50 archers on the I-9 hill, hereafter called the Hill of Arrows in Muslim chronicles. Muhammad reviewed his troops on horseback and then moved them into position on the battlefield. Sources don't specify the exact time of the start of the Battle of Uhud on March 23, 625, but it can be assumed that it likely started in the late morning or early afternoon. The two lines of infantry drew closer to one another, and the battle began when a Meccan warrior stepped forward, challenging the Muslims to send forth a champion to come forth and meet him in individual combat. Ali rushed from the Muslim ranks, attacked the Meccan, and killed him with a single slash of his sword.
Bruh, these men are beasts. These men are beasts, bro.
A single chant of Allah Akbar rose from the Muslim ranks. The brother of the slain
that's
warrior
kind of hype.
rushed from the
That's pretty hype.
his brother's killer. Before he could reach Ali, the fierce Hamza stepped forward between them,
Of course.
and cut the assailant down. 3 more men from the Meccan line challenged Hamza, one after another. All 3 met their deaths at the end of his blade.
Bro! Nah. Hamza is him.
Excited by the
Hamza is him.
combats taking place before them, the Muslim ranks charged the Meccans, engaging them in fierce hand-to-hand combat.
Although I think this is a very
Wounded were
dumb
slain
idea.
without mercy.
I
The
think this is
battle
a
raged between the
very,
infantry. A Muslim soldier named Abu Dujana cut his way through the enemy ranks before
Oh,
reaching
wow.
the Meccan camp. He then scattered the Meccan female camp followers as he rushed headlong into the encampment.
What?
Meanwhile, Hamza seems to not have taken part in the charge, but prowled the battlefield looking for Meccan warriors to fight. Little did he know, Washi,
Bro, what? What? Oh god. What? Hamza. He's just. What? Bro is just bored.
hired slave mercenary, was also looking for him. He was hired by Hind, the daughter of Utbah ibn Rabia, who had been killed by Hamza in the Battle of Badr, and now she wanted revenge. As Hamza engaged another Meccan champion, Washi found him, threw his javelin, and pierced right through his body.
Oh!
Hamza charged Washi, but before he could reach him,
He died.
collapsed to the ground. Washi retrieved his javelin and proceeded to walk off the battlefield.
Wow.
The business there. The ferocity of the
Wow,
Muslims succeeded in
what
breaking
the heck?
line at several points, permitting groups
What the heck? What type of... So you're telling me this guy isn't even in a battle, he's just walking around. Just walking around looking for people. What? What is the logic behind that? Like, actually, someone really... Like, what is the logic behind that? Someone explain that to me.
of Muslim soldiers to penetrate and begin isolating segments of the Meccan ranks, hacking them to pieces. For a while, their superior numbers allowed the Meccans to hold on to their position. Eventually, however, they began to waver and fall back in a semi-disciplined fashion. It was at this point that the Muslims pressed the attack with great force and ferocity, penetrating through the Meccan ranks until the enemy was cut off from their camp. With Muslim soldiers behind them and in the midst of their ranks, the Meccan defense collapsed. Once more, Muhammad's disciplined infantry had proven that a smaller, highly motivated force could defeat a larger, less motivated force in close combat. Had the Muslims even had a small cavalry contingent with which to pursue and scatter the routed Meccans, the Battle of Uhud would have been a complete disaster for the enemy army.
But they don't.
The Meccan cavalry, commanded by Khalid ibn al-Walid, had still not engaged in the fighting.
Yep.
Khalid hovered near the flanks, moving his mounted contingent about and waiting for the right time to strike. It was at this time that the Meccan infantry broke and fled, exposing their camp.
Wait, what?
The Muslim attack subsequently lost momentum as the soldiers abandoned the fight to plunder the camp. Many of the archers guarding the Hill of Arrows also joined in the looting.
No.
Only a handful remaining at
Oh god, that's
Al-Walid,
yeah,
leaving to plunder the Meccan camp, rallied his cavalry and led it at full gallop through the now unprotected gap.
Swept.
The horsemen from the front
Swept.
turned Muhammad's flank and struck his forces
Swept.
in the rear.
Gone. Swept.
200 Meccan cavalry punched right through the enemy infantry and continued riding, readying themselves to wheel about and strike again. Attempting to regroup along the line of departure, the Muslims broke off their looting and turned around. This provided breathing room for the Meccans to reform and return the attack.
Yep, now you're the ones getting surrounded.
To wreak havoc behind the Muslim positions. His horsemen riding about the rear, striking targets with their long lances. The Muslim infantry began to lose its cohesion and flee, with their formations collapsing entirely. Events went from bad to worse. The bodyguard were now surrounded by Meccan troops.
Oh no!
With great force.
Ooh!
As the dim swirled around the Prophet, he was struck in the face with a sling stone that shattered one of his teeth and cut his lip and cheek, and received a sword blow on his helmet, the force of the impact knocking him off his feet. Around him, his bodyguards were being cut to pieces.
Oh, what's gonna happen?
Closed in on Muhammad's position. Seeing this, the Prophet's standard-bearer, Mus'ab ibn Umayyah, raised his flag and shouted the takbir to divert the enemy's attention to himself. Mus'ab fought valiantly, but was cut down.
Oh!
Swept the battlefield that Muhammad had been killed.
Oh!
A cheer rose among the Meccans. But they mistook Mus'ab for Muhammad, both of whom wore similar battle armor. News of the Prophet's death brought the Battle of Uhud to an end, with the Meccans breaking off their attack in celebration. Meanwhile,
no way. No way. No, yo. Can we get a shout out? Yo, that is the biggest clutch that I have ever. Yo. I don't care how you believe in God. I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're Islam. I don't care. We all can agree that man definitely deserved his spot in heaven, in Jannah, whatever the heck you call it. I've never seen, like, bro, I have seen people sacrifice themselves, but nah, bro. No freaking way, bro. That is. Oh. You know, I'm really putting the reaction into reaction video right now. No, but seriously, He should have. Muhammad should have been gone. He should have been. That is more than insane. He. Oh, this is like straight out of a freaking movie anime where one of the characters sacrifice themselves so that the main character goes on to do what he's supposed to do. I swear, bro, there's no way. Nah, bro. Nah, I'm convinced that God wanted. Yeah, there's no way. God wanted this to happen. God, nah, bro. God is the author. Muhammad is the main character, bro. There's no way. There's no way, bro. There's no freaking way, bro. What the? I don't want to drag on this video. Wow. Okay.
While Muhammad, dazed from the blow he received, was safe under a pile of bodies, protected by a few stalwart Muslim warriors. Muhammad and his followers later buried their dead on the battlefield and returned to Medina that night. The Battle of Uhud may have seemed like a major defeat for Muhammad's Muslim army, but Abu Sufyan's Meccan army failed to follow up the scattering of Muslim forces and take Medina. He soon had the Meccan army right
Holy
home,
heck.
believing they had
Look at
won
assassin the
and
empire,
Muhammad
bruh.
was dead. 2 days after the battle, Muhammad ordered the remnants of his army to assemble back at Medina. The Battle of Uhud was a setback for the Muslim cause, but Muhammad had not been killed, and Medina had survived. He and his men lived to fight another day.
Yo, all in the will of Allah.
If you stayed around this far,
No freaking way. No freaking way. That is all in the will of freaking Allah. That battle. Talk about fate. Change the course of history. Nah, bro. There's a lot of important battles, but nah, it's definitely like arguably like the most important event that just completely altered the course of history. That is wild to me, man. Bloody hell. Look, man, you made it all the way here. If you like my reactions, okay, I'm sick. Okay, so bear with me, all right. Go subscribe and like. Go check out my other reactions on my channel, alright? I actually did the other battle, part 1 of Prophet Muhammad. Go check that out, alright? Because I'm probably just going to like react to Prophet Muhammad. Because yeah, this is very interesting. This is actually very interesting to see how Islam was able to spread into what it is today. Very interesting to learn about, definitely. And thank you to all my Muslim viewers who are extremely nice and very lovely people. Okay, you are definitely representing, okay, your religion and your people well. Okay, unfortunately, I've had a few comments per se. Let's just say they were the opposite of that. Very ignorant people in my comments. So yeah, shout out to y'all for not being like that. Okay, a lot of y'all have pointed out how I'm extremely respectful when it comes to reacting to stuff of Islam. Is because Islam genuinely interests me. Okay, I genuinely love hearing other people's sides to things. Okay, I'm very open-minded as long as you're not like an extremist. And even if you're an extremist, I would still kind of hear you out for a bit. But if it's complete rubbish, I'll be like, no. But anyways, make sure you like, subscribe, and go check out my other reactions. Goodbye.